I'm Bob Burrill, and I'm recording this video on November 20th, 2024, and I'm telling a little story from my past life on this video, and the story is entitled, Are You Going to Logan Airport? Almost makes me think of the song, Are You Going to Scarborough Fair? By Simon and Garfunkel, but it's nothing like that. It's absolutely nothing like that. It's kind of a humorous story, but it also has quite a profound inspirational lesson. So I hope you'll enjoy it. And this goes all the way back to March of 1982, well over 40 years ago. And at the time, I was on staff at a large church in Walpole, Massachusetts. And the pastor was, just going to use his first name, which was Dave. The pastor's name was Dave. He has departed and gone to heaven about over a decade ago. He's in heaven now, but Dave was an interesting guy. I was an associate pastor again. I was pretty young. I was about 27. And Dave at that time was maybe about 41, something like that, 41, 42. Dave had a very strong personality. He was tall, a little bit heavy set, very strong personality. Honestly, the person I would most compare him to, believe it or not, is Donald Trump. I would compare him to Donald Trump. Wow, did Dave walk around swearing? No, that's the one area he wasn't like Donald Trump. As an Assemblies of God minister, he didn't go around swearing. But if you think about Donald Trump's kind of brash, blunt, outspoken personality, that he's not afraid to tell you exactly what he thinks and so forth, that was Dave. Very much so. So in that sense, very much like Donald Trump. And the church was sending a missions team to Haiti. In fact, not only was the church sending a missions team to Haiti, but on this particular trip, Pastor Dave was going as well. In fact, that church sent a number of missions teams to Haiti over quite a number of years. And this was 1982. A number of years later, I went on a couple missions trips to Haiti from that church. But anyway, March 1982, there was a group of, I'm guessing maybe 10 or 12 people going. It was mostly a construction team. They were building an orphanage. So you had like masons, drywall people, electricians, plumbers, various construction type people. And there were few people on the trip that weren't construction type people. Had I gone on the trip, I wouldn't have been a construction type person at all. But the types that maybe lug buckets of cement or hold somebody's tools or something and assist them, I would have been one of those if I went on the trip. Excuse me. But anyway, they were leaving on a Saturday morning. It was about a 2-week trip. And at the time I was asked, I wasn't married at the time, I was asked by a couple in the church who were both going on the trip if I would house sit for them, if I would stay at their house, while they were gone. And I said yes. And so I was already at their house. I believe they spent the night at somebody else's house on the night before they left. I spent the night at their house, and the team was leaving quite early in the morning. I think they were flying out of Logan Airport in Boston, something like 7 a.m., something like that. And in those days, you didn't have to be at the airport hours early like you do now, but I think I don't know what time they left, pretty early on a Saturday morning from Walpole in the suburbs. And so I got up really, really early on that Saturday morning. I got up, set the clock, got up really early, shaved and showered and got dressed because I said, I want to be there when the team gathers at church. I want to be there to meet with them, encourage them, pray with them, see them off. And then they were going in several vehicles into Logan Airport and then, of course, to board the plane and fly to Haiti. So I went to the church early in the morning and, I'm greeting all the people and talking with them and praying with them and trying to encourage them and so forth. And Pastor Dave was there. And my plans were, I thought, well, I'll go and I'll see them off. And then I'll go out to breakfast. There was a whole chain of restaurants in those days called Bickford's. They're long gone. They were kind of like IHOP. And there was one not too far away from where that church was. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go out to Bickford's. I'll see them off. I'll go out to Bickford's. And then I'll go back to my church office and I got a few things to do and it'll all be fine. Well, Pastor Dave came up to me while I was talking to the folks and he said, are you coming into Logan Airport? And I said, I don't know. I wasn't really planning on it. He said, what do you mean you weren't really planning on it? Come into Logan Airport. Well, we ended up having that conversation, 5 times over the next hour. Come into Logan Airport. Aren't you coming into Logan Airport? On and on and on. Aren't you coming into Logan Airport? And, I could have ridden in some car and gone in there, but I thought, well, I don't think I really need to go into Logan Airport. I came to the church to pray with people, see them, and it was nice, and we had a big formal prayer time, and then, just times again of interacting and all. Well, the various folks got into their cars, and one by one, cars and SUVs and vans went off to Logan Airport. And Pastor Dave, and he owned in those days a full-size Lincoln Town Car. I know it's a long time since Lincoln Town Cars, but you can probably picture what it looked like. They were very big and very impressive. And somebody drove him in his Lincoln Town Car to Logan Airport. So all the cars had driven off, and it was a nice, modern, beautiful church building on a nice, beautiful, property. And the front doors of the church were around there was a circular drive, and it circled an island that had a flagpole and that sort of thing. And so I was just kind of standing there by the front doors, and everybody had left. And all of a sudden, Pastor Dave's Lincoln, circles in front of the building, and he's in the passenger seat. Someone's driving him. The car stopped, and he's kind of signaling for me to come out, and I come out, and the window goes down, and he says, are you coming into Logan Airport or what? And I said, well, no, I told you I decided not to go. Well, he looked at me disgustedly. And he waved his arm disgustedly, and he said, oh, go back to bed. And then I see this Lincoln go down the driveway and drive off. And you have to know the kind of person I was, especially in those days, in my late 20s. I wasn't a real take charge, super confident sort of a guy. I mean, some people that know me today would say, well, you're still not, but I definitely wasn't then. And I just stood there, just feeling so sad and thinking, wow, I came out to see the people off, to pray with them, to encourage them, and that's what I get? Is, oh, go back to bed. Well, I got in my car, and I drove to the Bickford's restaurant. I was very sad. I got out of the car in the parking lot, and I'm slowly walking across the parking lot, to the front door of the restaurant. And all of a sudden, and it was not in an audible voice. When I say things like God spoke to me, it typically is not in an audible voice. And I'm sorry, I got a little tickle in my throat. I don't want to be coughing all through this video. I'm sorry. But I got out of the car. I'm walking across the parking lot. I'm feeling very sad. I mean, if you could have seen me, I must have just looked like somebody died or something. I'm slowly shuffling across the parking lot. And all of a sudden, not in an audible voice, but in what people call the still small voice, the Bible calls it the still small voice, as when God spoke to Elijah. And that still small voice said, what are you upset about? And I didn't say audibly, but in my mind I said, well, here I show up to see them off, and all I get is go back to bed, and there was no thank you for coming, there was no appreciation, and I feel so stupid, and I'm still kind of shuffling towards the door of the restaurant. And here's what the still small voice said to me, said, did I tell you to go into Logan Airport? And I stopped right there in the parking lot. And the still small voice again said, "Did I tell you to go into Logan Airport?" And I think this one I said right out loud. I said, "No." And he said, "No." So what are you upset about? The most important thing is that you're in my will, is that you're where you're supposed to be and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. I didn't tell you to go into Logan Airport. What do you care if he's mad at you because you didn't go into Logan Airport? What do you care about what was said or done? I didn't tell you to go into Logan Airport. So what are you upset about? You know, I walked into that Bigfoot's restaurant. All of a sudden, I wasn't just dragging along. I happily walked into that Bigfoot's restaurant. I had one of the happiest breakfasts I ever had in my life. I think I had French toast and bacon and a coffee. And that was the best French toast and bacon and a coffee I ever had in my life, because I knew I was in the perfect center of God's will. And what did it matter what anybody thought? I don't know who this is for, but you may need a word of encouragement today. You know, John 10:27 says, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." I want you to be encouraged. The most important thing is to be where God wants you to be and doing what God wants you to do. And it doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks about it. If you like this video, I hope you'll share it with somebody. God bless you.